to start the live streaming.
Hello, it looks like we're still just waiting for Doug, so we will give it a couple more minutes and then we'll start up. Thank you. We're still waiting for Doug and we'll start up. Thank you. Doug, I'm assuming people hear that too, right?
Yes. What's that? What is it? Somebody's mic is open.
Does somebody have the live stream going? Because that sounds like the feedback from the live stream.
I do not. It also sounds like Steve has two people up. It might be coming from one of those that it's carrying through. So Steve, yeah, you can mute one. Let's see if that fixes it. All right, seems to be good now. All right, we have everybody. So if Kevin and Lisa and Janet, you're all ready, then we could start up. Thank you for joining the City of Kingston's Common Council at our monthly meeting. Today is Tuesday, April 6th. My name is Andrea Schott. Before we begin, we would like to go over a few guidelines to help us navigate the system as efficiently and respectfully as possible. We ask that members of the public and press remain muted and off camera for the length of the meeting. As organizer, with Elisa Tinty, we reserve the right to mute anyone who unmutes themselves. Council members and city staff will control their own mute button. Good practice would be to mute yourself if you're not speaking to avoid background noise and feedback. All of our meetings are recorded. Both video and written transcriptions will be made available to the public on the city's website. If you have any audio issues, send a text message to the following number, 845-594-6120. Please note that phone calls will not be answered during the meeting. The number again to text is 845-594-6120. As the organizers, Elisa and I reserve the right to lock and pause the meeting to eject anyone who has behaved inappropriately. Lastly, at tonight's meeting, we have in attendance Corporation Counsel Kevin Bryant and City Clerk Elisa Tinty. The council will be go through roll call in a couple minutes. Thank you for your patience. And I will now call this meeting to order at 7:36 p.m. on April 6th, 2021. Can you please state the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence? United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. May I please have roll call?
Alderman Ventura Morel,
Here.
Alderman Coop,
Here.
Alderman Scott Childress,
Here.
Alderman Worthington,
Here.
Alderman Tollerman,
Here.
Alderman Davis,
Here.
Alderman O'Reilly,
Here.
Alderman Shabbat,
Here.
Alderman Hirsch.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Can I have a motion to dispense with the minutes of the previous meeting and approve same? Motion made by Tony Davis. Second by Jeffrey Ventura Morel. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is adopted 9-0. Can I have a motion to dispense with the meeting or the reading of the general bills? Motion by Scott Childress, second by Patrick O'Reilly. All in favor? I do need to see all thumbs, please, for the vote. Motion is adopted 9-0. We now enter into the public speaking portion of the meeting. The council has received written comments and they could be found on the city website. And we're now going to open the floor to speakers who have signed up in advance. We have quite a number of speakers, so I do ask you to keep your time to 3 minutes, and I'll be watching the clock too and giving you a little heads up to keep it as close to 3 minutes as possible. If you could bear with us as we look through the numbers to find you, but we will call on you and then I'll unmute your number. Please state your name and address on the record before you address the council, and note that council members cannot engage in debate during the time. Our first speaker is Clark Richters. So if you could just. Oh, there you are, Clark.
Hello?
Hi,
Yeah.
Clark.
How's it going? Okay. I'll try to keep it under 3 minutes. I just have a couple things. Well, first, I always try to reach out to the council members to try to communicate about my concerns about public access, but I haven't heard nothing back from any council meeting members, and that's fine. I just wanted to remind it. But anyway, this recording from last month was I downloaded it and I put it on DVD for public access, and I'm planning on doing the same. I'd just like to go off of public access for a second just to bring up our Esopus on Washington Avenue along the Esopus Creek. And I really noticed it really, like, I mean, I can't imagine any fish even thinking about swimming in that thing. And I was wondering, well, I was requesting if the council as a whole can speak on that to the DEC and make a point that they need to address that, along with other towns that I believe that have been in the media that saying that they wanted to to have the DEC make address that problem that because it is ruining the Esopus. And I understand that they're trying to do it to have clean water in the city. On a downside is they're actually creating just a muddy river of this, call it a Willy Wonka chocolate factory river going through Kingston. And I'm requesting the council that they make a point that they should request to address that. Back to public access, my understanding that the franchise agreement with Spectrum is still being negotiated since 2016. I'm hoping, and I know that the mayor's, spoke on it before, and he said he appreciates me being an advocate, but it's a little bit more than being an advocate. This right here, as far as like calling to the council meeting on the computer virtually, it's convenient for me, but I can't imagine, because even with my knowledge of the computer, to put all the numbers in on the phone to call in, it's overwhelming, first of all. And I couldn't imagine, well, even if it's 9 times out of 10, if the seniors doesn't have a computer access, they're not going to be able to even be aware of what's going on in Kingston. That's why I made a commitment each month to record this meeting. To download the recording and put it on public access TV, which it's more transparent. On the other side is I'm still saying that I think the city of Kingston should be appointed commissioners for a voice, because they are collecting $410,000, approximately about $4.30 of each franchise subscriber. And it goes in, and I'm sure you're aware, it goes right into the general fund, and no funds go to the public access station. I'm not really asking for a lot for that, just to have the city involved just a little bit out of that will make your communications so much better. I mean, you have an asset there of cable, which I'm sure there's, I would guess there's like 7,000 cable subscribers that are paying the franchise tax, but they're not getting any kind of council meetings or even information on that besides what I, as a volunteer, put on there, or the town of the Sopas volunteers again, because they're not collecting any money, and they're only paying for like electricity and stuff like that. And so they're providing a service to the city of Kingston and the rest of the towns that are not, paying anything into the whole thing. And I understand it's like that.
Clark,
has to do
Clark,
about
just so
money.
you know, it's been a little over 3 minutes, so if you could wrap up a little bit in the next 30 seconds or so. Thank you.
Okay. So my last thing is I'm also calling in regards to the form-based code with the zoning that you're going to be voting on tonight. I've heard some talk about that, and I would support the form-based along with KingstonCitizen.org. I support them because they've always supported me. And if they think that it benefits the city, I have to believe that it will benefit the city. And I just let them state, if you can have, you can address the construction on Broadway, then see if we can make that road smoother along with Albany Avenue, because Albany Avenue is a nightmare when you're driving down it. And that's the only thing I have. And I thank you for your time. And I look forward to next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Clark. Have a nice night.
Okay.
Our next speaker is Sarah Wank.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Sarah. I'm going to put you on for 2 minutes and 45 seconds, and then you should hear a beep. And then you could, if you could just wrap up. Thank you.
I hope I won't take that much time. Hi. I encourage the council to approve the funds for revision of Kingston's zoning code. This change is long overdue, and if it had happened sooner, the city would have saved more money than this will cost, and much rancor and hostility in our community would have been avoided. There has been criticism about the cost of this project and calls for the money to be used in other ways. What people don't understand, I believe, is that our current zoning makes many of those desired uses impossible, or at best difficult, without making small, specific zoning changes over and over again. The process of changing the code piecemeal makes no sense for our city. It allows developers and moneyed residents to bend the code to suit their needs while leaving the rest of us out of the conversation. A form-based code, especially with a firm as experienced as Dover Cole at the helm, will allow everyone in Kingston to have their voice heard and allow the city to grow in an inclusive and equitable way. Please approve this expenditure. It is a huge step forward for our city. And the next step we must take is charter reform. Such great things are possible if we start the work now. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sarah. Our next speaker is Tanya Garment. Tanya, are you there? I don't come back to Tanya. The next speaker is Brad Will.
Okay, good evening. My name is Brad Will. I live in Kingston. Can you hear me?
Yes, so I'll start after you start. I'll start the time. Thank you.
I should be about a minute
Madam
left.
Chairman, I can't, this is Alderman Doug Coop. I cannot hear anyone.
Okay, it might be on your end if you could turn up your volume because we're not having problems on this side with audio. Sorry, Brad.
Right.
So I'm gonna just talk a little bit more, see if Doug could just work out
Yep.
turn the volume up. Doug, if you could just give me a thumbs up if you're good. You don't have any audio, or is it just quiet? No audio.
I can't hear anybody.
Well, I'm sorry, Brad. I'm just trying to do some tech issues here. If you could bear
Okay,
with
I'll
me
wait.
another 30 seconds. Thank you. All right, he just, oops. Doug, can you hear us now? He still has no sound. Thank you. All right, can somebody text Doug or email Doug to call into the meeting? That's what our IT guy suggested. So that we could get back to public speaking. Brad, I apologize. Thank you for your patience.
No problem.
Do you want to start up now and
I'd rather wait for Doug.
okay. Looks like Rennie's calling him, so thank you everybody for your patience. Rennie, you might want to also tell him to try to unplug his headphones. That might be one of the issues.
Okay, he said he'll try briefly with the unplugging the headphones. Otherwise, he's going to call in.
Thank you,
All right,
Ryan. All right,
this is Doug. I can hear now.
all right, great. Thanks. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, Brad, for your patience. And you could take off whenever you want.
Okay. I should take about a minute less than Clark. I timed this earlier.
Right.
Good evening. My name is Brad Will, and I live in Kingston. I am pro form-based codes. I am pro traditional neighborhood development, pro transit-oriented development, and both generally and specifically have been pro smart growth for over 30 years. I also support an ecological civilization that addresses problems such as gentrification of housing stock, food insecurity, and carbon emissions that are largely caused by buildings and fossil fuels. These and a variety of other real-world concerns faced by Kingston and communities in every corner of the country and the world, around the world. Kingston has been tackling these issues in effective, quality of life improving ways for the past decade. We have 24 boards and commissions that work hard for us, the Climate Smart Commission and Live Well Kingston, to name just two. The infrastructure is in place and would benefit from a cohesive document to tie it all together. That's where form-based code comes in, but it should be proportional. I have referred to Buffalo and other municipalities as models for FBC. Where the city of Buffalo is concerned, this is not apples versus oranges. It's a cherry versus a grapefruit, with Kingston as the cherry. In both cases, one completed 4 years ago and the other proposed and under consideration before this council, the entire area of each city is within the scope of work. Buffalo's 52.5 square miles and Kingston's 8.8 square miles. The population of Buffalo is over 250,000 and Kingston's population is under 24,000. And in both cases, the consultant's cost is $500,000. Buffalo's 300-page product entitled Buffalo Green Code Unified Development Ordinance is deep and highly informative, as it should be. Kingston's proposed land use plan, as it's called, will certainly be equally comprehensive. But recall, and Buffalo, the grapefruit, and as such, we are being asked to pay a very, very high premium. I am confident the members of the consultant selection task force, which included Alderman Ventura Morel, were thoughtful in selecting Dover Coal. However, I am wondering if bypassing two New York State-based proposals that were considerably less expensive, $350,000 and $275,000, was the best outcome of their selection process, thorough as it likely was. Only a few short years ago, consultants Schuster Turner produced a 132-page comprehensive amendments to the zoning law for Kingston 2025 at a cost of $100,000. In one example of zoning reform, it proposed consolidation of 8 districts down to 3. So it was going in that direction. I wonder if some of this document could be integrated with a hybrid, scaled back Kingston basis of Alderman O'Reilly's questions at last night's caucus meeting about public engagement and buy-in. Perhaps it would be a good idea to release all proposals considered by the task force to the public for the purpose of disclosure and final comments prior to Mayor Noble signing a contract with Dover Coal. Let's see firsthand why the two much less costly local proposals were rejected. I want to end with recognizing that we can do a lot of this work in-house, the Kingston House. Look no further than Alderwoman Hirsch's good legislative work, expanding accessory dwelling units, and as a byproduct, access to affordable housing, and related to short-term rentals, tightening the zoning definition of hotel. The admirable work of our many boards and commissions continues on a daily basis. I propose that what we need is a streamlined, efficient effort from Dover Coal and reducing the cost to Kingston's taxpayers. Our zoning code isn't a mess. It's been working and amended already and will improve with selected refocusing. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice night.
You too.
Next speaker is Jennifer O'Donnell.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hi, welcome. It turns
Hi.
out my beep doesn't translate, so I apologize if I jump in, but if you could keep it to around 3 minutes, we'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll
Thank
try.
you so
I'm
much.
At 7:57. Okay. I'm Jennifer O'Donnell. I'm an urban planner, and I've worked with many communities around New York State, including Kingston, where I've actually written sections of the code to shoehorn it into the needs of the present of our 60-year-old code. So I've experienced firsthand how outdated the local code is and how costly it is for each applicant to apply for permits, as well as how complex it is in terms of the process to be managed by the city. My profession has evolved significantly with the history of redlining and exclusion that have been practiced over the last century in the name of planning. I've worked with multiple communities that are using form-based code now and have seen what a good investment it has been. It brings better design, it adds more housing options, it upends the old segregated ways of Euclidean zoning, and this is very important, it's much less expensive for city halls to manage. It will save money for everyone concerned. I just also want to point out, for full disclosure, because Brad just talked about it, that I bid on this proposal with two different teams. One as the lead as a woman-based enterprise, my firm Hone Strategic, along with the folks who were responsible for the Buffalo zoning. As well, I bid with a firm that I had worked with in 1983. Yes, I'm that old, who worked on Battery Park City, one of the seminal developments in form-based code. And we brought in a team from Washington, D.C., a very light and agile firm. However, we didn't win. The RFP was extremely complex and required an enormous number of things. And I have to tip my hat at Dover Coal for the excellent proposal that they did, and they won fair and square. Now, of course, their proposal, as Brad mentioned, was more expensive, but they were proposing to do a full form-based code for the city, and that was what the committee selected. So there are no sour grapes here. I just wanted to say that what they're proposing is very much about what form-based code needs to be. Public participation, re-examining every different characteristic of every different neighborhood, and we have so many in the city. And if well done, it would closely examine all the areas where there is potential for better development and reshape our public realm, as well as the quality of our development. It would also protect the historic qualities while allowing for new construction. It would also allow for much healthier housing mix that would be more varied, so we would not have to resort to Band-Aid solutions, let's say, for affordable housing. It would allow for a much healthier mix. And finally, it would put Kingston on the path toward healing the wounds that have been wrought by a terribly outdated code that induces destruction of the urban fabric and segregates people. Dover Coal, like I said, had a very strong proposal, and I hope that if you should decide to take the path of renegotiating with them, that you won't hack up the quality of the work that they are trying to do. Think of this, and this is my concluding point, think of this as a long overdue change to the way our institution of zoning shapes the city for better or worse. Our current zoning has resulted in very poor development patterns and very poor projects that don't really meet the current needs of the city. We have had 60 years of deferred maintenance by not addressing zoning to keep up with the many issues affecting our city. I think think of this form-based code as a blueprint for the next 100 years, and you will realize what a good investment it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jennifer. Have a nice night.
You too.
The next speaker is Ted Griezy. Ted, are you there? Is Ted there? Looks like you are. I just unmute yourself, Ted.
Hello, I'm here.
Hi, Ted. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Welcome. I'm going to put the timer on for a little under 3 minutes. So I'll give you a warning if you hear the beep. If you could keep it to around 3 minutes, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure, thanks. My name's Ted Griezy. I live in Ward 1. I work for the Kingston Land Trust, and I'm just calling in today to show my support for the rezoning, the rewrite of the rezoning code. I don't want to, belabor the points. I think the last speaker really did a lot of justice in saying the reasons for doing this code. But for me personally, it's a social justice issue, and it's also a reason to move forward with Kingston in this moment of change for us. We're all worried about gentrification and all these other things. I'm certainly supportive of Alderwoman Hirsch's proposed legislation and interim measures to reform the zoning code, but we really do need a comprehensive rewrite. And I think we could quibble and go back and forth and send it back and try to get the best price if we want it, but I don't want to discredit all the work that the zoning task force did in developing this RFP and selecting a consultant. I think that's the reason the task force was formed. It's community members who put a lot of work and a lot of effort into doing that. And to me, that work has been done and it's in line with our comprehensive plan. And it just makes a lot of sense to do this right now. So I'm very supportive of it, and I see the rest of my time.
Thank you very much, Ted. Have a nice night.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Peter Wetzler. So you should just be able to unmute yourself. Hi, Peter.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Hi,
we can. So if you could start up by saying your name for the record, and then I'll start the timer for about 3 minutes.
Okay, great. I'm going to do less than a minute because I think that other people so far have spoken more eloquently. I'm a resident of the Rondout, and I'm very much in support of voting for this plan. And I just don't want to see the mistakes that were made in the past continue. So I think, Jennifer, I will just echo the sentiments of Jennifer and other folks who have supported it and cede the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. I am going to see Tanya Garment in here now, so I'm going to ask her to unmute and have her jump in now. Tanya Garment, are you there, Tanya?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we could hear you.
Hi. Sorry about that. I wasn't pressing. Okay, Tanya Garment, 102 Wirt Street. As you all know, I think I watch a lot of City Hall meetings, and I'm privy to the response of the boards and commissions to our current zoning code, the frustration that is constantly being felt by board and commission members. In fact, the ZBA and the planning board have expressed it at multiple meetings that we need a zoning code that fits our current comprehensive plan. We've needed a zoning code before that even. This is a zoning code, the type that really doesn't have very good roots in separate, and it separates uses. It makes it harder to have walkable neighborhoods. It prioritizes the cars. Early on, a lot of zoning that we had forgotten the reasons for having it was really done to separate peoples. I think a lot of residents of Kingston have read The Color of Law. Repco did a great author talk with them, and that's a great presentation that can be seen on YouTube. I think they have that posted, but this is a newer kind of zoning code, one that we really always should have had. In the early teens, we had the step backs in New York City that made sure that there was light on the sidewalks, and it really was about the form of things in the beginning. The kind of code that we have now micromanages the use of things and really inhibits incremental growth. If we get a form-based code written by a good company, as Dover Coal are, they're pioneers in form-based code. They've been there from the beginning. And there are so many, I'm always coming across members of Dover Coal in talks and in webinars. And they're really go-to people for how to do this sort of thing correctly. They're based in Florida, but a lot of their subcontractors are in New York. The legal team is local, and Amy Groves, one of the prime planners, is from Poughkeepsie. So this is really not a Coral Gables firm. This is a team that very much understands the area, but more importantly, this sort of a code rewrite is going to rely heavily on the public for input. It's going to be a collaborative effort. It's not going to be what we in Kingston are used to, where we're rushing through a project often because it's grant funded, and we've got one public meeting that's often had after many of the major decisions are made. And when we do have that meeting, though, it's still before very important details happen. No, this is going to be an entirely different sort of process. It's going to be a lot of work in the beginning, but in the end, we're going to come away with a clearer code where people can develop their properties to the next level of intensity, or have the opportunity to live in more neighborhoods, start businesses. There'll be so much more opportunity, and people won't have to hire Mike Morello or Ron Porty to be able to do anything. This is some real hope for Kingston. It's going to be a lot of work in the beginning, and we're going to be relieved of a lot of nonsense afterwards. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Tanya. We have two speakers, just so everybody, two more speakers. So as I forgot, I didn't give the number out in the beginning. Our next speaker, Shaughnessy, you are asked to unmute. So if you could join us. Jim, are you there? All right, we'll come back to you, Jim. The next speaker is Anthony Tampon. So Anthony, you just have to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, Anthony, hi.
All right. Thank you. I had to hit *6 a couple of times before it worked.
All right, thanks for your patience then.
Yeah. So my name is Anthony Tampon. I live on Delta Place in Kingston. I also worked on the zoning task force. So I'm pretty intimately, been pretty intimately involved in this process. I kind of want to start out by commending Jennifer O'Donnell for the comments that she made. I thought that especially from her point of view, they were quite insightful and really explain this process from kind of an insider who tried to be the one doing the job. The other proposals that we looked at were, there was only one that was also like pretty comprehensive. So when you're talking about like comparison between the different proposals, then this information should all be public. I'm not really sure why it isn't, but all the proposals should be able to be read by anyone, and anybody that looks at them would understand why Dover Coal was the one chosen in this process. It seems to me that everyone in this meeting right now seems to support the concept of comprehensive redesign of our zoning and land use planning code in the city of Kingston. And, you know, that's not at all surprising. Almost every meeting that I streamed in the last year has had some type of complaint about zoning for one reason or another. And it's clear that the city needs to address this problem. And it's also clear that the city, and based on previous efforts that have happened from the city itself, that our city, as fantastic as it is wholly incapable of doing this in a comprehensive way that could be effective. And we require the help of a qualified consultant. And when we put that information out to try to find a consultant that would be able to do this for us, Dover Coal was the one to do it. They came with that by far the most complete package that allowed our city to look at itself in a new way, understand the communities that we have here, understand the architectural the way that our city feels, the way that our city interacts, what makes us a community, and make sure that from this point on, the structural design of our city moves forward as a community with the things in community that we want, that are part of our city the way that we want them, and make sure that new investments, new construction, new developments that happen here are things that we want as a community. And it's so incredibly important. And if we don't make this move now to make that happen, we have failed. And in another handful of years, someone else is going to do not just a Lost Rondout movie, they'll do a Lost Kingston movie, because that's where we'll end up if we can't find a way to make sure that our entire community moves forward together. And this is the way to do it. There's lots of new money coming into our community. We need to make sure that it's spent the way our community wants it to be spent. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. All right, our last speaker, attempt this one more time. Jim, I think I saw you unmute earlier, so there's just a little hesitation. So I will wait for you to unmute.
Hello.
Hi, Jim, how are you?
Oh, good. I was having trouble unmuting.
Yeah, sorry about that, but we're not going to leave you behind. So if you could take about 3 minutes.
Yes, Jim Shaughnessy, I live on Delta Place, as the last speaker does. I'm calling, first of all, let me say that I'm in favor of the zoning study, but I really want to talk about the Kingston Village Acre proposal. I don't know if that's on the agenda tonight or not. But I did listen to the March 31st special meeting of the Finance Committee. When I read the mayor's press release from several weeks ago, it seemed to me to imply that the rents in the complex would actually be decreasing. I don't know if that is, in fact, is the case. Mr. Tallerman at the meeting on last Wednesday suggested that the rents may increase by as much as 50%. A 0.5% increase in tax levy annually is a very small increase. In 30 years, 0.5% per year, the total increase would be 16.1%. The AMI in, I'm not sure if it was Kingston or Ulster County, I saw a chart. The AMI in 1990 was $30,000. And this chart said that in 2020, it's somewhat over $60,000. That's a 2.33% annual increase. That's more than 5 times, almost 5 times the increase proposed by the developers, 0.5%. I don't know why we should be paying the assessment on those 2 parcels is about $19 million. The previous owner bought them, according to the Ulster parcel viewer, for $28 million in June of 2019. The parcel viewer also says that Acre bought it for $38 million in December of 2020. That's a 35% increase in 18 months. I can understand why they feel they might need some tax relief in order to make the project successful, but I don't see how spending $3 million over 2 years when and $900,000 of that is soft costs, are going to make that complex significantly different than what it is now. And so I would just urge the Common Council to make sure you look in the bag before you pass it along, and make sure you all understand it. I was talking to one alderman recently about the Kingstonian project, and that alderman insisted that the pilot on that project would only apply to the garage portion of the project, and that's absolutely not the case. The pilot in the Kingstonian project applies to the entire project: the garage, the apartment units, the hotel, the retail spaces. Just make sure you really understand what you're doing and whether or not this project really deserves such a large tax benefit before you go ahead and approve it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jim. Have a nice night. That our public speaking portion of the meeting. We now enter into claims and communications. Hearing no discussion, they will be on file in the clerk's office. Can I have a motion to dispense with the second reading of the general bills and pay same? Motion by Rennie Scott Childress, second by Steve Shabbat. All in favor? I need to see thumbs. Patrick, you there? Opposed? Resolution is adopted, or motion is adopted 8-0.
Oh, Andrea?
Oh, you for it?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Motion is adopted 9-0. Thank you. We now enter into the report of committees. Just remember, I do need to see thumbs as we move forward. Starting with resolution number 44, please.
Resolution 44 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for a 2021 budgetary amendment in the shade tree account to replace a street tree alongside of St. Joseph's Church.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 45, please.
Resolution 45 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for a 2021 budgetary transfer in the Department of Public Works from contingency in the amount of $10,770 to cover the cost of unforeseen retirement payout for a DPW employee.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 46, please.
Resolution 46 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for a 2021 budgetary transfer in the Department of Public Works from contingency in the amount of $33,100 to cover the cost of unforeseen retirement payouts for 2 parks maintenance employees.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I will call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 47, please.
Resolution 47 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for a 2020 general fund transfer in the amount of $181,389 to balance accounts.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Resolution number 48, please.
Resolution 48 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for a 2020 transfer in the sewer fund in the amount of $68,003 to balance accounts.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 49, please.
Resolution 49 of 2021. Ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval of the New York Stretch Code as per attached.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 50, please.
Resolution 50 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, referring to the HLPC, Kingston Planning Board, and the Ulster County Planning Board, a proposal to amend section 405-34 of the City of Kingston zoning code and refer to historic landmarks preservation, Kingston Planning Board, and the Ulster County Planning Board proposal to amend section 405-9 of the City of Kingston zoning code.
On the question? Alderwoman Michelle Hirsch.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I just want to say that this is an amendment that I introduced to amend our zoning code to make the use of accessory dwelling units citywide. I just want to say that an accessory dwelling unit is an apartment located in a primary residence that includes permanent provisions for sleeping, eating, cooking, and sanitation. We currently have a housing crisis in the City of Kingston that has been significantly exacerbated by COVID, and the removal of ADU restrictions from specific zones and codifying all restrictions into a single code will move the city goal closer to a more friendly land use code. And this legislation is consistent and with and furthers the goals and objectives set forth in the Ulster County Housing Action Plan. Accessory dwelling units is a way to help keep extended families together. Seniors can age in place. Young adults can stay within their community, afford to live within their community near their families. People with disabilities can be cared for by their own family on their own property and not have to live in congregate care. I think that this is a really great way to quickly increase our housing stock, and I'm grateful and I'm appreciative for this passing through laws and rules. Thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing no more discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 51, please.
Resolution 51 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for transfers in the 2020 wastewater treatment plant budget.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 52, please.
Resolution 52 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for transfers in the 2020 mayor's budget.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 53, please.
Resolution 53 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for transfers in the 2020 Comptroller's budget.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 54, please.
Resolution 54 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for transfers in the 2020 Sewer Fund.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 55, please.
Resolution 55 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for transfers in the 2020 General Fund.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 56, please.
Resolution 56 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for transfers in the 2020 Department of Public Works Department.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I will call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 57, please.
Resolution 57 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for transfers in the 2020 Department of Public Works Department from the Sewer Fund.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 58, please.
Resolution 58 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for transfers in the 2020 City Clerk's budget.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I will call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 59, please.
Resolution 59 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for transfers to the 2020 Corporation Council budget.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 60, please.
Resolution 60 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for transfers in the 2020 Fire Department budget.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 61, please.
Resolution 61 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for transfers in the 2020 Parks and Recreation Department budget.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 62, please.
Resolution 62 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing the mayor to submit an application to the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation for a certified local government grant in the amount of $35,000 for a citywide historic properties survey and to execute any and all related documents.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 63, please.
Resolution 63 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, reallocating $256,376 of the City of Kingston's Round 2 Fiscal Year 2019 CDBG CV funding.
On the question, Alderman Rennie Scott Childress.
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, I would like to just thank Steve Shabbat for his leadership on this committee for this and the next one. Watching what goes on in that committee, sometimes it feels like a high wire act as folks are juggling and trying to make all these different amounts fit and try to be as generous as possible to as many groups as possible. So I'd like to thank them for the intense work and the difficulties that they faced and the good results that they've produced.
Thank you. Alderman Steve Shabbat, please.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, once again, I'd like to thank everybody on the committee and all those that have been involved in this, even those not on the committee. Older persons sat in, the public weighed in on a lot of these things. I really appreciate everybody's hard work. This particular item is a redeliberation. I explained this last night in case you missed this. This is a redeliberation from last month that was vetoed because we did not have the mayor's recommendations. Since that time, we received his recommendations. We had some compromises and we passed it.
Thank you, Steve. Anybody else? Thought that was Tony's hand. Anyone else on the question? Hearing no more discussion, I will call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 64, please.
Resolution 64 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, approving the fiscal year 2021 Community Development Block Grant CDBG Annual Action Plan.
On the question, Alderman Steve Shabbat.
Thank you. Again, just a very brief explanation. This is our annual community block grant funding, and as Rennie said, this was a real balancing act to try and accommodate everybody's requests. It was a lot of work, hours and hours of deliberation. I think we came up with a good action plan. It went to the mayor for his approval, and he approved it as written. So we're happy.
Thank you, Steve. Anybody else? Alderwoman Michelle Hirsch.
Yes, I want to just commend the committee for all their due diligence and hard work, but I will be recusing myself from this vote due to my employment with Family of Woodstock. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on the question? Alderman Jeffrey Ventura Morel.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to echo what Alderman Scott Childress said and thank Steve Shabbat for his leadership and to all my fellow committee members, as well as members of the public, city staff, and the mayor, all who contributed to this process. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Hearing no more discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-1. One opposition is the recusal by Alderwoman Hirsch. Moving to resolution number 65, please.
Resolution 65 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending authorizing the mayor to submit an application to the National Park Service for an underrepresented communities grant in the amount of up to $50,000 for early history of African Americans, Pine Street burial grounds, NHR nomination, and to execute any and all related documents.
On the question, Alderman Tony Davis.
Thank you, Madam President. And I want to commend the Planning Department, Sue Cahill, for this initiative, the mayor, and for seeing this viable. And this is history, and we need to embrace our past and do all we due diligence to make sure that our whole history is represented in the city of Kingston and not this one base. And so, I look forward to this passing, and so that the children and the people of the city of Kingston can know of the rich history of African Americans who lived here and contributed to the growth of this city, but also to be able to have discussions about the mistreatment of African Americans in this community as well. And so I commend this effort, and I look forward to it passing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Alderwoman Rita Worthington, please.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to echo Alderman Davis's sentiments. I'm appreciative of the mayor and the planning department going after this grant. It took quite some time for all of the organizations, Harambe and Scenic on Hudson, a lot of organizations that finally got together and was able to purchase the land over there on Pine Street. And for those of you that have not been over there yet, I would, ask you to go over and take a look. It really is amazing, the history that is there and that the history that will continue. And so, yeah, I'm appreciative of the mayor's efforts as well as the planning board's efforts and all those that are involved in trying to get this grant. So I'll be a yes on this as well.
Thank you. Anyone else? Alderwoman Michelle Hirsch.
I just want to say that one of the things that makes Kingston so amazing is our history and our vibrant history, and recognizing all of our history is really important, and so that I'm in support of this as well. Thank you.
Anyone else on the question? Hearing no more discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 66, please.
Resolution 66 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for transfers in the 2020 Kingston Police budget.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 67, please.
Resolution 67 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing the mayor to execute any and all necessary documents with Dover Cole as per attached for the purpose of revising the City of Kingston zoning code with the cost of $499,394 to be paid through a transfer from the fund balance to A182020.5411 Consulting.
On the question? Alderman Doug Coop, and then Alderwoman Rita Worthington.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I will be a yes vote on this resolution for a number of reasons. One, I think we're all in agreement, and I will not belabor the point that I think the zoning code needs to be revamped and brought up to date, as everyone on the zoning committee and everyone else has mentioned so far. I don't think there seems to be unanimity that the work needs to be done. Now, to the specific proposal, I don't pretend to know anything about zoning, and as my colleague Patrick O'Reilly pointed out last night, he doesn't either, and I suspect, if we're all honest, we don't. Secondly, I don't know how this is going to work in collaboration with the community, but I think Dover Cole does. I think they've done a great job in places, many in New York, Albany, and other cities, and they're a premier outfit. And I think they can do this. So I feel comfortable that by the time this is done, we're all going to be a lot smarter in zoning and glad we had it done. Now, the thing that sticks in the craw, all of us, I think, is the cost. $500,000 is a lot of money. And what has turned me on this is a commitment by the mayor to do what he can to get the COVID relief funds of about $18 million that will shortly be coming in the city, to be able to use them to finance these either in whole or in part, rather than going directly to the fund balance. So I'm strongly in favor of it. I think it needs to be done. Let's remember that Kingston has come a long way in the last few years, and you know, I'm proud of it. I think all the rest of my colleagues on this committee can be proud of what has happened on our watch, and our successes will continue. As we are the shining light of the cities up and down the river of the Mid-Hudson region. And let's keep that light, let's accentuate that light and keep it burning. So I urge my colleagues to vote in favor of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Rita Worthington is next.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, I'm going to say as well, I don't know enough about zoning to give you any specifics about it. Even with doing my own research on it, I'm still not well versed in it. However, you know, I heard a few of the speakers talk about the social aspect of that, which I appreciated. And so, and what I do know is that conventional zoning and the way that we have it now, be it intentional or unintentional, has often been used as a tool for social separation. And so, and not only, you know, in uses like residential or commercial or industrial, but also according to wealth, class, and race. And so, you know, I think updating our code and having community, not just their input, but also engagement, is going to address ingrained inequities, you know, especially when paired with other equity-driven initiatives for developing in our city. And so, you know, the price is hefty, and that was one of the sticking points for me. But I think it's time for us to envision a city where no matter where you live or who you are, you can enjoy living in a place that is healthy, prosperous, and resilient. You know, living in a neighborhood that is beautiful and affordable and accessible shouldn't be a luxury of a lucky few. It should be a lifestyle that's attainable by all. And I think by updating our code, our zoning code, is going to bring that to fruition. And so for that reason, I'll be a yes on this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on the question? Alderman Tony Davis.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to echo some. I've written down some here again, as the other two speakers have, or my colleagues. I'm not an expert on this form or zoning and this form-based code, but listening, my little research and listening to the speakers, and I get a little bit more educated. But let me read here. I wrote down some things here past there. Form-based code and can entire city, not just certain areas. So it's going to benefit the entire city and not just certain areas. And I received, you know, some input and some emails, et cetera, and I'm not going to name the people who, you know, said this or whatever, or who were, you know, giving me a call. That one of the things stuck out was, you know, Kingston, it was stated that Kingston is spending $500,000. And yes, that's a large tag, and that's what the sticking point is. Because like everybody, the other speaker said, we all agreed that we need to do this zoning update. It's been over 50 years. But it's stated at 50,000, 500,000 must be. Kingston can spend $500,000 much more in usefully. And we don't need to spend $21 for every man, woman, and child in our city. And that stuck with me. And then so I did some research. It's actually $21.65, and based on the last census, based on the population and the actual exact and dollar figure this is going to cost. So my question is, why not? Does not every citizen in Kingston count? If we invest and investment that will benefit the men and women of this city today, but will also the children who will become the men and women of tomorrow. So for people to say this money is spent everywhere and we don't need to invest in every man, woman, and children in the city, why not? Aren't they part of the city of Kingston? Secondly, people have been talking about, we should send it back to have the RFP redone, and that we should look for a New York State company. That's people's opinion. It was sent out. We have 4 RFPs. RFPs came back in, and this committee that was set up, transparency, decided that this firm was the best firm. And who's to say if we send it back and the price tag is not going to be higher? Doesn't say because if we send it back and we say RFP and we want New York and state firms, that the RFP is not going to come back any higher, right? Or come back higher. The third thing I want to talk about, transparency, right? We have the zoning task force. It was set up by the mayor, 7 Kingston residents. Again, we ask citizens to sit on these boards to give their input, their valuable input and time. Let's start listening to them, right? Public input. It's going to be public input. Public is going to speak on it. As I stated before, in 1961, the comprehensive plan. This is part of the comprehensive plan. Last one was done in 1961. I'm old, but I wasn't even born yet. All right. Some people who are calling to not do this and were people who voted for this in 2013, 2012 and 13, but didn't approve enough resources. So again, as other people have said, a Band-Aid, piecemeal. Some of these people who have said in the past, the city has to update its plan. It has been over 50 years. But now they're saying it costs too much. So what is the answer? Wait another 50 years? Or wait until a firm says we will do it for free? Thank you. I will be a yes vote on it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Alderman Rennie Scott Childress.
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, we have a chance to make a historic positive change for the city of Kingston. The resolution to hire Dover Cole gives us a chance to create a bright new future as we shift to a new kind of zoning code that will improve the lives of all our residents for generations to come. As people have pointed out, there are a number of advantages of form-based code. These include increased flexibility, an emphasis on all aspects of a neighborhood rather than just buildings, significant community involvement in developing the code, greater housing choice for all members of our community, and simplicity. Our current code is outdated, confusing, and inefficient. And as Rita and Tony pointed out so eloquently, it's based on the same kind of discriminatory and racially divisive principles as redlining and other heinous practices of the past. We talk a little bit about the cost. We talked some about the cost. Dover Cole did similar work in a much smaller area in Albany for $400,000. The total cost of that project was $750,000. The price that Dover Cole is asking for is roughly the same as the second place consultant in our search here in Kingston. And you can look at other examples. When you compare actual apples to apples, we're getting a pretty good deal for this money. But what is the price really of bringing our community together to build a clear vision for a better future? Anthony Tampon earlier today said, who was on the rezoning committee, he asks, you can't really do a cost-benefit analysis on social issues. What's the cost of a lack of housing? What's the cost of diminishing and dividing community? What's the cost of architectural decline? He said, I'm sure all of those are well worth more than $1 million. So we can see that there are going to be huge benefits that redound to Kingston from this change and from the use of this particular company who is going to focus intensively on community outreach, community development. And to me, this is the crucial aspect of their work. We've already seen a coming together of folks who are often at odds with each other and talking about this process. Opponents of the Kingstonian agree with housing developers that this process is crucial to our future. Social justice advocates agree with business entrepreneurs that this process is crucial to our future. The process is crucial too as we are coming out of the COVID crisis. It will give us a supreme chance, a great opportunity to reconstitute our community and direct us toward a better future. I will vote for better community, for shared vision. I will vote yes for this resolution.
Alderman Jeffrey Ventura Morel.
Thank you, Madam President. I will also be a yes on this. And I just want to take a moment as the liaison to the zoning task force to thank the members of the task force for all their work. It was a lot of meetings and a lot of reading to both draft the RSP and to go through the selection process. And I just want to thank all the dedicated citizens for their time. I want to thank the mayor for his leadership on the matter. And I want to thank former council president Jim Noble, who's the one who got me interested on the subject. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on the Alderman Steve Shabbat, please?
Thank you. There's not a whole lot I can add. Everybody's been very eloquent in what they have to say. I just want to say, I am on board with this. I think we have done our homework on this. We have vetted this. We have done something we don't usually do. We pass a lot of resolutions in this city, but it's not too often we appoint a special committee or task force to investigate something and come to, and bring us the results of that. We did that this time just to make it more legitimate. We've looked at the RFPs. Yes, to be honest, it is a lot of money, but this is going to be a comprehensive plan throughout the city. Could we scale it back? I guess we could, but then everybody is not going to be involved in the process. And I think we can all agree, those of us who like this, one of the things we like about this is the community involvement that's going to come with this. Hopefully we're going to get a lot of folks in this city come out and voice an opinion, and the results will be based on those opinions. So.
Thank you, Steve. Anybody else on the question? Alderwoman Michelle Hirsch.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to say that I agree with all of the ideals of updating our zoning and having equity and inclusion within our community. My concern has been about the price tag. My concern is that we go through the process with this consultant, which is supposed to be community involvement. We're not even in City Hall yet. We're still all on Zoom meeting. So that's my first concern. My second concern is that we tried to do something else recently for housing that involved a consultant and a study for the Emergency Tenant Protection Act for the rent stabilization law. And that did not come to fruition. We were not able to enact that law. So this consultant doesn't mean that we are going to have zoning change. It's not a guarantee. So I hope that I am proven wrong. I would like nothing more than to be proven wrong. I'm going to be a no vote because of the price tag, but I will say that I hope I am proven wrong, and that this, when this goes through, that it will happen and all the way to the end as it's supposed to be. So, but I still have to vote with my conscience and regarding the price, and I'm a no vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on the question? Alderman Patrick O'Reilly.
Hi, Alderman Patrick O'Reilly. A lot to think about here with this zoning overhaul. I'm not so sure the public hasn't had enough input already. They haven't been allowed enough input already. there was a task force that was set up, but that wasn't by the citizens of the city of Kingston. That task force that was set up probably by the mayor and others. I don't know exactly how that was set up. Maybe Jeffrey can give us a little information on how that task force was set up. I know it wasn't by a vote of the citizens of Kingston. So I'm a little concerned about that. It's already becoming a political issue, obviously. As Tony said, he's getting emails from several different people. We all are. We're all getting it. People are pulling at us both from this side and that side on the issues already. This is a political issue. And it's becoming a political issue, and it'll continue to be a political issue all the way through. There will be people with agendas, and they've already surfaced, and they're knocking on our doors and they're calling us, and so there's people out there who want us to do certain things for their reasons, and that's a concern, but that's normal. But a concern. The money is also a concern too. I am glad to see that we went through the process, and we had the task force, and they found this company. Another good thing that Doug Coop had mentioned is that the mayor is going to try to use the COVID money, the $18 million, to help pay for this, which I was very pleased to hear that. The money may not come from our general fund; it may come from other funding, which was good for me to hear. And because of it all, the fact that we need the zoning redone, the fact that our zoning code is so far out of date, the fact that this company seems to be a company that's going to try, although Michelle has a darn good point, that we are in Zoom right now, and it's not working very good as a communication tool for the masses, for us even. You can see people are pushing number 6 and they can't even get into our own meeting here. I mean, this is no way for this to start off. So it sounds like it's off on a bad foot if we start right away on this. If it starts during this kind of COVID time, this might not be the best time for this. So I agree with Michelle on that. As for the necessary, we need it. As for the money, I hope the mayor gets the money. And as for the politics, I hope people can really try to keep their views, their political views, out of it, and really try to do the right thing here for the citizens of Kingston. I'm going to be a yes vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on the question? Hearing no more discussion, I will call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Can I get that again? Because can I get the 4 in favor? Okay, and opposed? Okay, thank you. The resolution passes 8-1. The opposition comes from Alderwoman Michelle Hirsch. Moving to resolution number 68, please.
Resolution 68 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing a budgetary transfer totaling $307,265.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. That ends our resolutions, but we move into the second reading of local law number 1 of 2021. So we'll have the reading and then followed by a vote.
Local Law 1 of 2021 of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing an amendment to Local Law 2 of 2020, amending Planning Board Chapter 96, Section 96-1, composition, terms, vacancies, removal of the code of the City of Kingston.
On the question? Alderman Jeffrey Ventura Morel.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a refresher, since it's been a while since we discussed this. This is to amend the membership of the planning board to make it easier to fill vacant positions. Right now, it's very hard to fill the positions with the requirement that one or two of them must be city employees. So this will remove that requirement, and it would also bring it in consistent with the language that other similar municipalities use. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on the question? Hearing no more discussion, I will call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Local law is adopted 9-0. This ends our communications for the evening. Before we adjourn, does anybody have anything that they would like to adjourn in memory of? Alderman Doug Coop and then Alderman Steve Shabbat. Doug, you just need to unmute yourself, please.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to close the meeting in memory of two of my constituents who recently passed away at home in the Governor Clinton. One, Charles Ilsert, 93. He resided for 25 years at the Governor Clinton. He was born in Queens, served in the U.S. Army during Korea, but he was occupation Germany during the Korean War. He worked most of his life for the city of New York in warehouse logistics. Personally, he loved fishing on the Hudson River. And he was an active moviegoer, according to the obituary. I did not personally know him, although I've been in the Governor Clinton a number of times. He has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 siblings that predeceased him. The other person I'd like to close in memory of is a constituent that I did know, Mary Rudolph, who passed away March 23rd at the age of 94, also a resident of the Governor Clinton. And she also was able to pass away at her home, which I think is a wonderful thing. Her survivors include 2 daughters, Susan Malgeria Saugerties and Vanessa Sergio of Kingston, 7 grandchildren and 9 great-grandchildren. Sadly, she was predeceased by her daughter, Sharon, and a son, Vincent. So I got to know Mary. She signed my petition at least on 2 occasions. And so I'm sorry she passed away, but nice round age of 94, was able to die in her home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Alderman Steve Shabbat.
Thank you. I'm gonna do one that's close to my heart. You've heard me do this before, so bear with me, please. I want to close in memory of my brother-in-law, Captain James P. Tucker. Jimmy recently passed away after a long battle with Parkinson's disease. I've known Jimmy since I began dating my wife way back in 1969. And, you know, we were pretty close back then, played a lot of sports together. But shortly after that,
Steve, you accidentally pressed mute.
okay. So, okay. Jimmy was born in Kingston, obviously, maybe, and he enlisted in the U.S. Air Force at age 18. He served 38 years, both active duty and as a civilian contractor. During that time, he received many commendations and award for his brilliant intelligence work from the Vietnam War through the Middle East wars. His journeys took him sometimes We didn't know what was going on. He couldn't even tell his family. He would be called in the middle of the night to jump on a helicopter and, you know, fly halfway around the world where his services were needed. When Jimmy first enlisted, he was stationed in Korea, and he met his wife Sunkum, and they have recently celebrated 47 years of marriage. Jim rose to the rank of captain during his service. In addition to his wife, Jim leaves behind his daughters, Diana, Teresa, and their husbands, as well as their his seven siblings, Joanne, Karen, Lynn, Johnny, Melanie, Pat, Kevin, and their families, predeceased by mom and dad. I really want to thank Jim for his dedication to his country. He served long, hard hours, you know, and also for his dedication to his family. He was a real family guy, didn't do much that didn't involve his family. So we're certainly going to miss him. It was tough to watch him deteriorate from this disease, but we will miss him.
Thanks, Steve. My condolences to you and the family. Is there anybody else? Seeing nobody else, I will take a motion motion by Tony Davis and second by Rennie Scott Childress. All in favor? Opposed? We hereby stand adjourned until the next regularly scheduled meeting on May 4th, 2021. Thank you all very much, to speakers, to Lisa, Kevin, and everybody.